Hello everyone, I'm Zeenat Firdaus. I am here with Dr. Sukant Khurana, who is a well-known entrepreneur, mentor, public speaker, and a scientist. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Zina. Thank you for having me here.
Sir, I'd like to know that how to write good emails.
Uh, so that's an excellent question. I do come across a lot of bad emails every day. I guess I can tell you what a bad email is and how not to write it, and I can try to spend some time on what a good email is. See, first part is in general, which I'll not spend a whole lot of time, is how to have a good composition. We've already discussed the four kinds of compositions of email. You likely, when you're writing an email, it'll be either an expounding thing, it'll be either a description, probably not narrative if you're writing a professional email. It may be an argumentative kind. And these are ways of composition, and you should have uh, definitely, when you write to anyone in a professional setting, you should write in grammatically correct English. I still get SMS language in English, and I assure you, I don't respond to them. I mean, unless somebody was in a dire need. If I say letter four for, uh, you'll have to put a gun to my head for me to respond, right? And if there are some other issues, I may respond to it, but obviously will be extremely unimpressed. And often you see emails which have huge grammatical errors. I do tend to be lenient when I see somebody is writing from countryside, is from non-native, is not a native speaker of English. And in India itself, where I was born, there is a population which can be called native speaker of English because at homes or schools they speak English too. India has a huge number of native speakers of English, not as a fraction. In terms of fraction, it may be less than 10%. But in terms of overall population, given it's 1.3 billion people, there are a large number of Indians who speak English at homes, at office, with their friends, right? Now, coming to when I see people from various countries where English is not the first language, or in India from countryside, I do tend to be generous, but you would appreciate good language structure. So now let's assume somebody has good grammar to the best of their abilities. Um, One of the most important things is to keep emails succinct, have a proper subject line. I often get emails without a proper subject line, right? So when you say it's to me, to anyone, you need to say what it is for, right? Unless you're doing daily office work. Let's say I had asked you to send me a Zoom link on which you're recording. Um, it's perfectly fine, right? You may not even need to write Zoom link for the meeting, right? You may say Zoom next link. It's understood because then it's part of recurring work. But the subject can be very different, need not always be formal, but it must convey. Especially if you're writing to somebody for the first time, it must be obvious why you're writing. Looking for a job, or interested in working for your company, right? Or can I have a PDF of your research article? Can I get access to this code? Can you explain this thing, right? Are you interested in this offer? So something in the subject line itself should rather clearly say, tell me, is it worth reading, right? Secondly, make sure when you're writing an email, it has sort of an introduction. You don't have to write introduction to the email as a category. The first set of lines are introduction, then you have a body, and then you have a conclusion, like any professional text has. Whether you're writing a research paper, you're writing a report, you're making an argument in front of a judge. In any case, the formal first email always have a proper structure, in addition to having proper grammar, in addition to making sure the composition is good. Um, by and large, if you're approaching for job, if you're approaching for a favor, do avoid these adjectives such as very and all, right? Um, I once in a while see I'm the best person at teamwork you'll find. Can tell you I'm tempted to just delete that email, right? Like how big of an ego can the person have, right? To use superlative adjectives. I also get people, unfortunately, more women than men, who will write emails which almost seem like self-rejecting, right? That I may not be suitable, but can I still get, I feel like maybe in a very, maybe you can even say paternal mode, just simply because I'm old, even scolding youngsters that don't self-reject, right? Compete, stand up, make your voice heard, right? So extremes are bad, factual things are good, right? And when you're writing an email in a professional setting, it doesn't even hurt to remind. If the person at the other end is a professional, they will respond to your email. And if they forgot, which can happen, let's say, like, for me, um, total number of people in my access who are directly, indirectly working for me, beyond even Ioncure, now exceeds thousands. You work with me, and I keep forgetting people's names, right? So if I get reminders that I'm so and so, I'm expecting this from you, I will probably get it done through someone else, or I'll do it myself, but a reminder doesn't hurt. So these things are important in a professional setting. I have also seen people email me successively, a matter of hours, one saying, "Oh, I didn't get a response." Can you imagine? Obviously, you know what happened to that job applicant. That person never heard back from me because I saw every 2 3 hours there is a reminder. Like, you know, you send an email, and you're expecting CEO of a company to respond to you in a few minutes, and leave everything aside. Obviously, you're delusional. So that's just straight red flag. So avoid red flags in an email. Proper subject, proper structure. You can address accordingly. You don't have to use florid language. So I often see from various Asian countries, African countries, very florid language, right? Uh, you might be asking me for a job, but I'm not looking for somebody to grovel. I'm looking for independent-minded, strong, and competent people. So, uh, huge, I mean, adjectives, I'll be forever indebted. You can't write to 20 people things like forever indebted, right? You feel very strongly about person, maybe in 4 times in your life, you should use things like forever indebted, right? Do know what is the right etiquette. Let's say somebody knows me for long enough time, even thanks is fine, right? Informal thanks. Um, in the first case, you would expect, like, even if I don't know, even if somebody is applying for, let's say, entry level job, my response may not be thanks, maybe a formal thank you, right? But you don't have to necessarily do. It varies from country to country. Like in US, we never called our bosses with their sir or madams. Even Nobel laureates, like I knew, I would call James Watson, as Jim. Right? It's not disrespect. Huge respect to people who've done amazing work, and wherever respect wasn't deserved, let's say somebody was racist or misogynist, then there wasn't respect, but it was respect based on people's work and all, but wasn't obviously necessarily because of their age. And even if somebody is extraordinarily good, senior to you, their saying first name is not disrespectful. While the norm is in India, people refer to people who are senior to them as sirs and madams, and I have finally come to terms with it. When I first returned to India, I used to tell people, "Oh no, call me Sukant. No need to call me sir." Now I don't see any point of correcting. Right? I'm perfectly fine people calling, and I kind of get the cultural context based on what they're calling me. Um, so it's essentially understanding where who you're writing to, um, and if you're not sure, then being formal doesn't hurt, right? And your tone can also be different depending on, let's say, let's say, I'll give you a real example. I'm introducing a friend of mine, Elaine, right? To somebody, I might write to her, "Hey Ellie, what's going on?" Right? We might even have nicknames for her, and that's my tone. But when I'm writing to some other potential funder, I'll say, "Here is Professor Elaine so and so, working at this. I had the honor and privilege of working with her, right? In grad school, and we overlapped and we exchange ideas on these things. We are planning to submit something together, right? So same person where I'm, uh, you know, calling her by nicknames, talking about her kids, pulling her leg on something because it's a close friend. But suddenly, when I'm introducing her to a third person, or it's in the presence of someone else, the tone changes, right? So the tone of an email must follow uh, common sense of that, right? How you're writing something. So if you're introducing me to some professional collaborator, you, even if they're your friends, you will introduce them formally, right? So these kind of things, which are common sense to social interaction, somehow they should be translated to interaction over emails, and they often are not. Um, One of the biggest put off is a very long email, especially the higher up you go to any executive. As you can understand, despite me very actively trying to not reveal my email, when people ask me for my email, I say, I deflect it to a lot of people, including you, Zenat. I'll say, hey, contact this person who works for me, contact my manager, contact XYZ. Because even when I don't, people try to find out, and I'm every day deleting hundreds of emails, right? So, um, so the higher up you go in terms of being an executive, you don't want to be just spending half your day reading emails, and that's, I've got other things to do. So I would rather, if I'm spending total of 30, 40 minutes on emails, and if I'm reading something, I would want to get to the crux of it, right? In fact, more often than not, I'll get someone else to read my emails, which are impersonal, regular things, right? I'll look at the subject thing, something stands out, I might go look at it myself. So these are important things when you're addressing somebody and you really want somebody to read. So keep it to the point. And what's the best way to keep it to the point? Good grammar, good composition, personal style, and the most important thing, edit, 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 right? And there are various tools to even cut out unnecessary verbiage. Active voice always helps instead of passive, right? If you're suggesting something, that I can do this, I can add this value to the company, be upfront, right? Let's say if I'm looking for somebody who knows recurrent neural network or convolutional neural network or deep learning, say I have applied recurrent neural network on this problem, I achieved this accuracy, these were the problems, and I took it to this level. So demonstrate, right? Instead of saying I'm excellent at neural networks, which has some information but not a whole lot of it. Being precise helps in professional settings because that gets you an answer quickly, and and especially if it's a fellow person from technical background, because I come from science and technology background. As a CEO, I don't come from the management background, so I have special fondness for innovators. That's just my personal bias, not even a hidden bias, right? So somebody is writing from science and tech background, and they are precise. And if I can't help them, I would often even take out time and say, hey, by the way, so and so in Germany, a friend of mine, he's hiring, and your application might be suitable. I'm not able to offer your position, but apply here, right? But that happens when I see precise information, right? Somebody's done X and Y. So demonstration and evidence, citation. On the first communication, if at all, just send PDF. Don't send any attachment which can be spooky, especially to a higher up in a hierarchy in a company. If you send attachments where the virus scan is showing any problem, uh, you're not getting open. You might get in a block next time. Nobody will open your email, right? So I think that's another important lesson, that when you email, don't send big attachments in the first email. In fact, it might even be preferable not to send any hyperlink. You can even say I've done so and so, or at best you're sending CV as a PDF or as a link to some Google Doc, and say that if you're interested, I can send you the following things. And always say that in addition to your email, if you think you are having an important case, that you can reach out to me at this phone number, or somebody from your staff can reach back to me at this number, right? Give people something to do specifically, right? Don't be vague in your requests. If you're vague, like I've had this thing again as a head of a company, Ioncure, and being involved, invested, and being a founder of several other ventures across the world now, much smaller. And imagine somebody who's done far more than me. I often see vague emails. I'm like, are you looking for a job, training? You want to collaborate. Sometimes you just get, I have interest in this thing, right? I've done this and this, right? Um, in a professional setting, I'm not looking for somebody to know one more person, right? Because I get to see while hiding my email 30, 40 emails, sometimes hundreds of emails when I'm trying to hide from people. And that's the traffic I get. So if I get a vague email where there is no call to action, right? What is the call to action? You're looking to collaborate, you're looking to work, you want to order some service. Let's say you ordered from something from my company and you didn't get some service. What is the call to action? Being precise, not just with your language, but with the actual directive matters, right? So these are things, and I'm surprised that more than half the communication I receive in India, and even a lot of our work happens while I'm currently sitting in India, happens in US. So I get a lot of emails from US, and even in US, I mean, college education is in some ways in shambles because you get emails and you wonder, is it written by a class fifth student or is it written by a fully grown adult? So these are things to take into account, and I think one should put a serious thought into how to write emails. Last but not least, please stick to Arial, Helvetica, Times New Roman, these kind of fonts, the standard fonts. I know you can do a lot of fancy formatting. Don't send me something in Wingdings, Comic Sans, right? Um, Formal font, especially for professional emails, is good. Unless there is a reason to change the fonts or something, it's not advisable. If you want to use not the simple text thing, you want to use color text, use it wisely. You want to make something bold, do it wisely for a reason. Excess formatting is not good. Minimum formatting is good if there is a special reason you want to draw attention. Have the following points, and then each point is in bold, right? If you're not necessarily putting them in bullet points, or these are the things I want to draw your attention to. I would like you to do this. Will it be possible to talk to you directly? Can I talk to some other manager? Can you provide a number? Here is my number. Right? That's an email you want to see at work. Right? Somebody has got precise request. They're grabbing your attention. So even formatting of email matters, and simple text is good if it is proper HTML, but then don't make it too fancy. Keep it simple. These are my instructions for a good email.
That was very helpful, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Zinat.
Anyone who is interested in free training at Ioncure can apply at volunteer@ioncurerx.com. Thank you.
Thank you.